I know.
All right. We got a rowdy crowd. I love it. I love it. Thank you all again for joining us. First up on our agenda, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Winkleman and just take some, thank you for your patience. We got a little bit of a late start for our first 6:30 meeting, but we're going to get us back on track.
Yeah, not too bad. To start the meeting tonight, we introduced a new part of our board meetings this year of really beyond our high school student rep that we've had for a number of years, of inviting students from throughout the district to join us and give us an update from their experience at their elementary school. And so tonight, we have fifth grader Dakotan Mantatsky from Sunny Hill Elementary School. So Dakotan, we are all excited to hear your report of what's going on at Sunny Hill. So the floor is yours. All right now. You got this, bud.
A highlight of my learning experiences from Sunny Hill is learning about space. We are studying space now in 5th grade. I really love space. Planet Saturn is particularly interesting to me because it has rings. My growth in math is what I'm looking forward to because I want to see my math scores go up. Math is a strength of mine. Word problems involving multiplication are fun for me. Sunny Hill has been my favorite school so far in my life. I've been to 4 schools. Sunny Hill is a special place to learn because we have the best PE teachers, we have Tiger of the Month, and we have we have a Tiger of the Month as a mascot. I really enjoy going to Camp Timberley. The zip line was my favorite activity. When I looked at a learner profile, I noticed that I strongly exhibit initiative and self-drive. For example, in the past I had a really hard time with reading. However, I persevered through the tough time and I started to get good at reading. I set a goal for myself so I could read grade level materials. Currently, I'm committed to improving my handwriting and spelling. This is a challenging area for me. My personal goal is that people can read what I write because I have a lot of ideas and information to share.
Excellent. Dakota, excellent job. Thank you for sharing your report with us. Any questions from our board for our student representative?
Dakota, and I loved hearing your challenges. Thank you for sharing them and the ways that you're determined to overcome them. So thank you so much for that. Tell us, how is the new playground going at Sunny Hill? Yeah, and what's your favorite thing about it?
I'd say the spinny thing.
That would make me
I love it.
really dizzy. Thanks.
Any other comments or questions from the board?
Great job. Great job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dakota, do you have anyone that came with you tonight that you may want to introduce?
My dad.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Anyone else?
No, my whole family.
Okay. All right. And if there's nothing further from the board, we have a tradition also that we want to thank you for coming tonight. We've got some Barrington swag and apparel and goodies in this bag for you. And one of the things that we like to do is actually, if you're willing to take a picture with us and the board, we have a certificate for you for joining us tonight. So how about one more round of applause? We're going to move Dakota out in front. It's a little bit better photo shot, so we'll have you come out here. Sneak over.
Don't be shy.
Right here, right in the middle. Congratulations.
looking forward to that career in space.
I know.
That's coming. I think we have another recognition that we want to get to.
We do. It's a fun night. So I think we, moments before we all came out front, I think we set a world record possibly for number of teachers in a board photo. So in the back, we have all of our teachers here tonight who are going to be recognized for earning a micro-credential. And so at this time, I'd like to turn over to Dr. Melissa Byrne, who's going to provide some remarks to start us off.
It should be on.
Good evening, everyone. We are so happy to be here tonight recognizing our large group of folks who are earning their Science of Reading micro-credentials. So for context, this is the second micro-credential that we have launched in Barrington 220. So we have over 70 people that have earned that recognition, and about 50 of whom are here tonight with us. So at this point, I'm going to hand it over to Dr. Gill, the brains behind the development of our micro-credentials, who is going to talk a little bit more.
Thank you. So, Board of Education, thank you so much for your support with this endeavor. I'm pleased to recognize 50 of our 72 who are in the cohort for the Science of Reading. And one of the components to receive this micro-credential was completing a course called Letters, which stands for Language Essentials for Teachers of Reading and Spelling. And they, each one individually, committed over 70 hours of work, whether it was in-person time or online work and reading and studying together, as well as application to their classroom. So they had to collect anecdotes and different artifacts and share them with us, showing how their research really has changed and impacted their instruction in the classroom. So part of this program was to look at the brain research, which is really science of reading, and how the brain learns how to read and how that translates into an elementary classroom. We also looked at diagnostic components and assessments to look at how kids learn in order to really prevent any learning gaps in reading and in literacy, and also provide intervention when we see them. And then also, it really gave us the knowledge of understanding how to balance instruction between word recognition and comprehension instruction as well in our classrooms, another delicate balance at the elementary level. And then finally, it gave us the tools really to differentiate, to meet the needs of all of our learners. So it was an incredible amount of work from our teachers who committed this time and growing their professional craft. And we know that really our best insurance against any kind of reading gaps or learning issues is really informed teachers and skilled teachers. And so thank you for allowing this to happen. We really appreciate it and are excited to see these practices continue. So at this time, I think we have a short video as well.
Awesome.
We are so excited that 72 teachers are earning their micro-credential for the Science of Reading.
The reason I chose to do it was because I wanted to learn more about how children's brains are wired to read. And actually what I learned is that they aren't born to learn how to read. They are born learning how to speak.
Letters is a program that helps students learn how to read and write.
And Letters stands for Language Essentials for the Teaching of Reading and Spelling.
You get to
well, we can't do this because of that. It was, let's think about what the possibilities are and let's think way outside of the box.
Once it's complete, seeing the students use the space is absolutely the best part of the job.
Having students being able to get into the spaces and talk about, wow, this is so much better than it used to be. Oh, I never thought about this. I really like this space. And to feel like they actually can get about the learning process better, that's what we're here for. And that actually is the most gratifying, is seeing student reaction and engagement.
Ultimately, we want to leave a legacy. And I think this project has left a pretty strong legacy. I think we've made the educational experience better for students now and the future.
was probably changing some of the old thinking, thinking like high frequency words need to be memorized. And that's really not true, that we can teach children how to decode sight words and learn the irregular patterns in those words.
One of the best things about it was obviously the professional growth and how you can grow your craft, but just being able to work with other teachers throughout the district as well.
And I think it's a testament to our teachers being dedicated to our students and their learning.
I would recommend this for all teachers because somebody recommended it to me. They said, this is a good training, and I have never regretted it.
So once again, we thank you all teachers for being here tonight and for the amazing work that you completed as well. And thank you to our Board of Education and our administration for supporting us.
Well deserved. We have such outstanding educators in this district, and the fact that we had over 70 staff choose to participate and just have that commitment to continuous growth and improvement and improving your practice and stuff, I think just speaks volumes to the teachers that we have in this district. So thank you all. Could we have you stand up and we can give you a round of applause since you came out tonight? Board, any questions for our teachers that are here about the experience beyond the video and what Dr. Gill described?
I just want to say thank you. I mean, I just can't thank you enough. I mean, what a great example, outstanding example of really inspiring personal excellence in every learner too, and in yourselves. So really, really appreciate that.
Well said. All right. Thank you all.
All right.
All right.
All right, so next up is my report. So I just wanted to thank all the teachers that are here again. I already stole some of my report. And wait, nobody corrected me. I said the wrong date.
It's close enough.
I'm embarrassed about that, but I saved my file under the 6th, so I did that last week, so I apologize, but it is March 5th. And thank you also to Coden for your excellent report. It's another outstanding example. And if you want a career in space, I'm just saying, the university that's produced the most astronauts might just happen to be, outside of our military academies, might just happen to be Purdue University, regardless of any outcome of any basketball game this evening.
Illinois.
Purdue it still has the most astronauts. Oh, my goodness. Somebody else can check the score and let me know what it is. Let's see. So
You won't like it.
Illinois' been up the whole night. So we finally had our board social.
Woo!
So I appreciate everybody being flexible and changing. There's a picture of us. We moved our plan to the last minute, and we had dinner in Elgin, and then we went on to cheer on the Broncos in basketball. So it was really exciting and a lot of fun to see the Broncos fight for that opportunity to participate in overtime. So that was a really great, fun evening, and thanks everybody for attending. We got to know each other a little bit better, and I think we all know more about pizza. And,
You're welcome.
Katie.
And I had
And
it.
Aaron.
It was quite good.
Everybody. It was really a lot of fun.
We also
So-
got to bond in the hallway during the tornado.
We
Yeah.
spent 45 minutes bonding in a tornado situation too. So a lot of good fun. So thank you. Several board members were also able to attend Mary Poppins last weekend. I did hear that the students' favorite scene was the rooftop scene, and it was quite evident. If anyone was there and got to see the musical, the kids were really enjoying themselves and having a lot of fun. The Referendum Advisory Committee also met last week for the first time. I was really impressed with the committee and the leadership. I was impressed with their attendance. We had a good showing, a packed house. I was impressed with their astute observations and their feedback and their commitment to the district. So I appreciate all of the commitment we have from our Referendum Advisory Committee. Board and community, we have several ribbon cuttings coming up next week. On March 13th, we have Rose, and on March 14th, Pi Day. we have North Barrington. So please, I'm unable to attend either one of those, so please make sure that you guys try to attend and celebrate that. These are our final ribbon cutting ceremonies.
Wow.
Yeah. Fast
For the
4 years.
existing referendum, yeah. So it's been a whirlwind of 4 years. And then last, board, just a reminder that the IASB Lake Division dinner meeting is coming up next week as well. So please let Janine know if you're able to attend. I think that's it. All right, so next up is public comment, and we have no one signed up for public comment. So we will move on to Dr. Winkleman, your report.
Okay, thank you, Sandra. Cue that up for me. I do have a few administrative recommendations that we're going to start with tonight. So our first recommendation that's on the personnel report tonight is we are recommending Jen Prindle for our Director of Fiscal Services and Asset Management. Jen is currently our comptroller for the district, so a familiar face here in the district. And prior to her time here in 220, which started in 2020, she did serve as a area controller at Camping World in Lincolnshire and with Pepper Construction as accounting manager. Here goes the Illinois thing again. I'm just trying to shy away from it, but a bachelor's and master's degree from the University of Illinois, as well as a CSBO from Concordia University. So,
finest English.
Yes. So, Jen, stick around. When we get to the personnel report, we'll have an opportunity for you at that time. And then we have a second administrator recommendation for the board to consider this evening. It's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Cindy Roosh as the next principal of Barbara Rose Elementary School. Cindy is coming to us presently the Director of Language Acquisition in St. Charles School District, and before that she served as a Curriculum Director in Diamond Lake School District 76. Cindy brings a wealth of education to us, master's degrees from Roosevelt in women's studies, a master's degree from North Carolina State University in school administration, a master's from Arkansas State University in gifted and talented and creative, and then her doctorate from Loyola University in curriculum and instruction. So we're very excited to have Dr. Roosh join our administration here in District 220. So again, stay tuned for that portion of the agenda. A couple other updates for the community. A few weeks ago, I provided an update on railroad safety and where the district was going to make some commitments to our community. And I had talked about providing regular updates for our community on this topic and making sure that we're following through on our commitments. And so tonight I'd like to share a couple things that we've been putting in place the last few weeks. You'll see a graphic there on the left side of the screen. That is a poster that I want to thank our staff for putting together B-Track Safe posters. These are printed and have been distributed to all the schools, and so putting visual reminders around our campuses of how to cross railroad crossings safely, I think is an important step. Not the only step, but another visual reminder I think is important. People learn and take in information in different ways. And then you'll see a series of dates on the screen. And one of the things we talked about was we do annually provide railroad crossing safety in the district, but felt that it was important to provide additional instruction for our students throughout the district. So the dates that you see there are dates that we're going to have representatives come out from Metra and provide additional instruction for our students. The picture there is actually an assembly from yesterday at Grove Avenue Elementary School. So as I stated, I think this is an important topic, and these are just two examples. As we continue to look for ways to increase the education and experiences for our students, we will continue to add these items to our website, listing all the ways that we're addressing this topic, and certainly I will provide updates for the community and the board as well. Next up, a new way to recognize the impact that our teachers have on our students in 220. And one of the things that we've talked about, just like tonight, we had one of our fifth graders here. We're a unit district, and I think there's a lot of power in being a unit district, being able to work with our students for the most part. Many of our children start with us in elementary and progress through middle and high school. So when they get to that senior year, they've had a lot of opportunities to participate and learn from a number of educators and staff members throughout the district. So yesterday, the seniors, annually around this time, we provide some direction and reminders and set some expectations of what's going to happen over your last few months with us as far as the experiences that you're going to have, as well as preparing for that graduation ceremony. And so I actually see Mitch Beck in the back, our department chair for our English department. We rolled this out through our English classes for our students to hear an opportunity of who had an impact on you in 220? What teacher along your journey and as you navigated through 220 do you want to recognize? And so we're creating a new recognition called Impact 220, and this can be any teacher, staff member, custodian, coach, anyone that had an impact on you throughout 220. And we've asked our seniors to select and identify one staff member throughout the district. And then our plan is to recognize those individuals, and the students are inviting them to participate in the graduation ceremony this spring on May 23rd at our high school graduation. So new opportunity I thought was worth sharing that just rolled out to our senior class for the first time. Okay, switching gears. As Sandra mentioned, we did have some additional community engagement that took place last week with our advisory committee. There are other opportunities for our community to learn and participate in our activities surrounding what type of referendum question and what projects would be included. So tomorrow night is our first open to the public community engagement meeting at Prairie Campus at 6 o'clock, and there's going to be 4 opportunities over the next several weeks. We'll have another one on Saturday, March 9th at 10 a.m. at Barrington High School. Next Monday, 6 o'clock at Lines. And then we're actually, for those that maybe can't make it to one of our building sites, we did try to select different locations centrally located throughout the district and on different days of the week to try to make it accessible, but also wanted to offer a virtual option. So next Thursday at 6 o'clock, we will have a virtual option for anyone in our community. Again, the purpose here is to collect as much community feedback, so this is a community-driven plan. Beyond the community engagement sessions that you can attend, we also launched a phone survey, which started yesterday and will continue throughout the week. You may receive as a community member. I am a community member. I haven't received my phone call yet, but phone calls are going out. But I wanted to highlight that if you miss your phone call or that phone call comes in at a time that you're not able to participate in the survey, I wanted to display the phone number. You can call in at any time that's convenient for you to participate in the survey as well. So lots of different opportunities, lots of different ways to become part of the conversation and provide input. And then the last slide, each month I talk about different things that are going on in the schools and any themes that are occurring. March is Women's History Month. I was able to look at all the different activities that are going on. There's different individuals being recognized for different subject areas where women have had an impact in that particular subject. We've got bulletin boards. We've got different materials to read. One of the things that stood out to me is a children's book called The Only Woman in the Photo by Kathleen Kroll. It's a fabulously illustrated book. In addition to the story, it's about Frances Perkins, the first woman to serve in the presidential cabinet under FDR. And so that one caught my eye, something I wanted to highlight. Our students will be reading and studying that. And in addition to different ways that throughout the month, our children will learn about different ways that women have had a positive impact on our history. So I just do this every month of just different themes and things that are going on in our schools to enrich the experience for our students. And I believe that concludes my report, unless there's any questions from the board.
All right. I'll just make a comment and just make sure you let Janine know. I don't know if everybody's let you know about the referendum committee meetings, so we make sure we don't have any violations of the Open Meetings Act. So please let Janine know. So appreciate that. Thanks for the great updates.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Good night. Thank you.
Good night. Next up is informational reports, which we have none. So I'm assuming nobody has any questions there. How about board committee reports?
Safety and security met. Dr. Winkleman covered a lot of my thunder.
You can hold the poster up again.
Yes, so train safety was obviously a big topic. And then on that note, we also discussed Safety Week, which happens at the beginning of every year. So next year it's going to be September 9th through the 13th. So it's the third week of school. We want to have it early in the year, but we also recognize that teachers and students need a little bit of time to settle in. And then obviously all the train updates that will be happening and safety meetings that will be happening around the school district, which are super exciting. And that was it.
Thank you.
The insurance committee's met. We've met just in this calendar, in 2024 twice, and we're going to be meeting again later this week. That's the committee that looks over health insurance for our both BEA and BSEO employees. And we work through a kind of a clearinghouse with merging other districts, but when push comes to shove, it's really the utilization in 220 that determines what our fees are going to be next year. And we've had increased utilization, and we've also, of course, with inflation, it looks like we're going to have a pretty significant increase, unfortunately, in premiums. But we're working to do whatever we can to try to keep that in check. There are some possibilities that we're going to be looking at, and hopefully we can come to some conclusion this week, so we can get everything in print and share with our staff. I think the most important thing is that we need to educate the staff how to best use their insurance, what the best insurance may or may not be for them. So I think we have to really make that effort also, because I think sometimes somebody will look and say, oh, this is the lowest amount of money for premium, so I'm going to take it. When you look at copays and out of pocket, it's not necessarily the best for them. So I think it's going to be important for both our committee and the insurance agents that are helping us to really educate the staff. So more to come. We haven't made any decisions yet. Hopefully we will be this week.
All right. Anything else?
Sure. Finance met earlier today. Just two quick updates. RFP did go out and came back. We have a new recommendation for food services. Thank you. And they will be bringing a recommendation to us right now, or I'm sorry, in a coming meeting. Right now, what they've done is they've submitted the recommendation to the ISBE for their approval. But in short, we started with 18 companies, whittled it down to 3. Ultimately, came down to 2, did site visits, and we now have 1 that we're being recommended. And pending ISBE approval is when it'll be brought back to a full board. Anything else that should be mentioned?
Steve, is this food service for?
Oh, I'm sorry.
elementary
Good call.
and
It's K through 8. Yep.
K through 8.
Yep.
Nothing's going to change for the high school.
Correct.
That'll be the same.
And as far as the other topic we discussed today, it was on investment policies, and this is predicated on the conversation we had during our committee of the whole. Basically, there will be some work done to modify our investment policy to mirror what the press recommendations are, and this way we'll provide Dr. Bine and Ms. Lager with the full extent of the law's constraints, but not putting extra constraints on ourselves for our investment policy. And that's really it. So more to come.
Awesome. So will that investment policy go back to policy?
Yes.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
Before it comes here?
Yep, so the way it's going to go is, at the next Finance Committee meeting, we will see an updated draft, and then upon our, review, it'll go to policy, and hopefully with policy going through it, it'll come back to the full board for approval.
Awesome. Excellent. Katie and I also did go to PTO President's Council, and where we had a lot of discussion around the referendum and answered questions there. We actually met at the high school, so that was kind of nice to be in the presence of the students throughout the day. And we answered any other questions that the President's Council had. And we actually got to sample some of the food that was served at Mary Poppins on Saturday, so that was a lot of fun.
Wow.
For the team. So we even gave them some feedback. Our BHS chefs.
Cool.
Got some feedback. Anything I missed, Katie?
No, that was, yeah.
Awesome. All right, any other reports? All right. So next up then is our consent agenda. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
So moved.
Second.
All right, we already heard a hint of what's going to be on the revised personnel report that was presented to us. And we also have minutes, both open and closed, from February 20th. Any comments or questions? All right, let's do a roll call.
Sandra Bradford?
Yes.
Diana Clapton?
Yes.
Steve Wang?
Yes.
Katie Karam?
Yes.
Erin Chanding?
Yes.
Barry Altshuler?
Yes.
All right, motion passes. So let's just do a quick pause.
So congratulations to Jen and Cindy on your official, now that it's been board approved, but maybe we can start with Jen. Would you like to share a few thoughts or words with the board?
I want to thank you all. I'm very excited to be taking on this larger role and supporting the great work that we're doing.
Awesome.
Congratulations.
We are too.
Happy there.
And you got the team with you, so.
Yes.
We show up.
That's right. That's right. Very cool. And Cindy, would you like an opportunity?
Do you want to hand her or turn the mic around or something? So you can make sure?
Yes.
There you go.
You can hold on to it.
Look at that.
I know. Yes, like on a game show. So thankful for the opportunities. I'm so grateful to the board for your approval tonight. I want to also thank everyone that's been involved in this process. It's been a tremendous commitment on your part to find the appropriate principal for Rose Elementary School. From the students I met to the teachers that participated to all of the district office staff, I want to say I'm so grateful for all the warm extensions that they've given me and the kindness that I've seen. It speaks volumes to your district and what I hope to become a part of very quickly as I step into the role of principal. So thank you again for this opportunity. I'm so grateful.
We love the Barrington colors too that you're wearing.
Yeah, we got more swag.
Jen, I hope you have lots of swag, so don't look back. Not only for students, we also see some swag.
Thank you.
All right, so thank you again, and let's move on to our action items. Appreciate that whole finance staff, look at that. Do we have a motion to approve a resolution authorizing the honorable dismissal due to reduction in force of part-time or full-time educational support staff?
So moved. Second.
Whatever you like. All right. Go to some highlights to one of our, not one of our favorite actions we have to take each year. Anything else you want to say about just this? Okay. Any questions?
No.
All right, let's go ahead and do a roll call.
Barry Altshuler?
Yes.
Katie Karam.
Yes.
Erin Chan Ding.
Yes.
Sandra Bradford.
Yes.
Steve Wang.
Yes.
Diana Clapton.
Yes.
All right, motion passes. Do we have a motion to approve the resolution establishing the intent to implement full-day kindergarten for the 2024-2025 school year?
So moved.
Oh, look at that. I love the enthusiasm.
Yeah,
Yes.
we're excited about this.
Yes.
This is very exciting.
I've got you.
All right. So you want to give just a quick history on why we're doing this resolution now?
Yep, absolutely. So, you know, the board had a lot of conversations around this particular topic, and clearly the enthusiasm, I think we're all excited. But we did learn that ISB is requiring the board, in addition to submitting an actual resolution and taking action at a board meeting. So this is just formalizing what we've been talking about for the last several months. This allows us to submit the proper notification to ISB. So, our Illinois State Board of Education, I should abbreviate.
All right. Just checking. We don't all have to sign that resolution. No, just me. Okay, just
you.
Just checking. All right. The next action. Do we have a motion to approve the release of confidential?
I'm
Do we have to vote?
I need to take a vote.
Oh, do we have to vote?
Nope.
It's all good.
Sorry.
Just ready to move
I
on.
checked the basketball score. I probably shouldn't have. All right.
A little better for you.
So let's do a roll call.
Barry Altshuler.
Yes.
Diana Clapton.
Yes.
Erin Chan Ding.
Yes.
Sandra Bradford.
Yes.
Katie Karam.
Yes.
Steve Wang.
Yes.
All right, motion passes.
Yes.
All right. Board, job well done. Job well done. All right, we can go to the confidentiality, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Do we have a motion to approve the release of confidentiality of closed session minutes?
So moved.
Okay. We have all closed session from 2019 and 2020.
I apologize, but I heard Katie. Is there a second? Diana, thank you.
Diana.
We should just recognize Katie for all her hard work.
Yes.
No, well,
This is-
I
busy.
Going through
I know you
this.
started it, Barry, though, too.
I started it, and then you've
Yep.
taken the mantle, though.
Almost done.
Awesome.
This is great.
Awesome.
Thank you.
All right, well, let's do a roll call.
Erin Chan Ding.
Yes.
Sandra Bradford.
Yes.
Katie Karam.
Yes.
Diana Clapton.
Yes.
Barry Altshuler.
Yes.
Steve Wang.
Yes.
All right, motion passes. Let's move on now to our discussion item.
Yeah, at this time I'd like to invite Dr. Fuller and Ty Gorman to come up. You know, technology and innovation has become an integral part of the experiences of our students here in 220. And so this is our annual report on all the different ways that the department meets those expectations with our students.
Can't wait.
Here, I thought all these people were here to hear us.
They're just getting comfortable watching online, I'm sure.
Well, I will say for those that are still here and have stuck around, I think you'll enjoy the presentation.
Thank you, everyone, for allowing us to give this update tonight. I do have some introductions before we get started with the presentation. This is, as Craig already said, co-presenter and Director of Innovation, Ty Gorman. We also have the other two Tech and Innovation Directors in the audience. If you could wave, please. Tracy Harper in the back. She's our Director of Student Information, and then Russ Vandermay, our Director of Technology Services. And we also asked, we have 3 District Technology Committee members in the audience too, so when we get to questions and discussion, if you'd like a classroom perspective, we can provide that tonight too. And those 3 are Melissa Atterbury, representing Rose, Chris Haruska, representing Station Middle School, and then in the back, Mitch Beck, representing the high school. So thank you very much for coming tonight. So tonight's update, we always like to start with acknowledging that the program, in this case, Tech and Innovation, it does indeed empower personal excellence in every learner. And then if we're going to be specific about the 6 different strategic objectives, All strategic objectives are touched in some way by tech and innovation. The two, though, that you'll probably hear the most about tonight are future readiness and personalized learning. And then the areas that we're going to talk a little bit about tonight include our One to World program, technology support, infrastructure projects, cybersecurity, student information systems, digital citizenship, blended and flexible learning, and then artificial intelligence by popular demand of some of our board members. We're excited to talk about all these topics. Our first topic is our perennial topic, One to World. It is our one-to-one program where all of our students in our district have access to a device. We use the iPad in our district. It is currently, I can't believe to say this, it's 11 years old from the very first pilot of the high school when we first started. And then after we got full implementation done, we're about 8 years old from the entire district being implemented fully. Wow. We continue to deliver professional development and training, mostly from TIE's staff. And we've also been very fortunate for the last 8 years to be part of the Apple Distinguished Schools program. The first 3 years, the whole district was recognized, and then Apple changed the program a little bit, and we went to the high school being recognized as an Apple Distinguished School. And then the high school has been asked to reapply for the next 3 years, and our middle schools have been asked to apply for the first time as well. So hopefully they'll be able to get into the program as well and be able to take advantage of some of the things that program offers. We also, as you hopefully remember from years past, we can do ongoing research in our One to World program to always try to improve it. And even though COVID got us a little bit off track, we were able to start our research again at the end of last school year. And pretty soon, within the month, you're going to see another One to World research paper get published where we will give you the results of our focus groups analysis from our staff and students that we did at the end of last year. The next section, technology support. We have a multi-tiered support system in our district, which if you're a student or a staff member, your first stop is usually to go to the library and work with the LTAs, the Library Technology Assistants. And then sometimes those issues get escalated to our tech support team that are based at the high school but go to all the buildings. And that team primarily takes care of both tech support issues but also device management through our JAMP system, also our device distribution and collection, which happens every year, and then every 3 years when we refresh our iPads through a new lease, we have a lot of work to do, and we swap out all 9,000 or so devices. And we have many, many different tech support options for our teachers, where they can call 1500 from any district phone, or they can go to a website and start a ticket, and then we have some email as well, ways of starting tech support issue cases. As far as infrastructure projects, we've been very busy during the referendum time because every new referendum system seems to bring either a new technology system or we need to expand current technology systems. I'm just going to cover 4 important new implementations that we've been working on for the past year or so. First of all, our Azure cloud deployments. These systems have allowed us, number one, to virtualize some of our desktop systems, so some of our in-house directors and also some of our our HVAC systems, they have access to our systems through any device. We also use this system to do virtual backups, so we have a cloud backup in addition to our on-site backups. Of course, we're also working on the implementation of our voice over IP telephone system upgrade, which is technically part of our referendum safety and security to get our phone systems up to par. It's also going to allow us to potentially add some new integrations with some of our other safety and security systems. We're also working on a classroom display upgrade. That's going to probably take about 3 years to help us replace some of our aging 20 or so year old smart boards in our classrooms. And of course, our Wi-Fi equipment upgrades, which are ongoing. We tend to use our equipment to end of life, and our Wi-Fi equipment is getting to that point, and we have some controllers to replace coming up. As far as cybersecurity, we're happy to report that we've not been in the news for issues regarding cybersecurity, and that's how. Why would you say it? That's what I always and that's what I always ask Russ. That's the goal: keep us out of the news. So one of the ways that we're training all of our staff, we continue with our phishing our phishing campaigns. And the way that works is about monthly, all staff get the opportunity to react to a simulated phishing attack. And we are happy to report that our staff actually has a lower percentage of phish-prone, the company calls it phish-prone users, than other educational institutions. We're at about 3%. Most of education is over 5%. And the company that we're working with, all of their users combined are at about 6%. So we're doing twice as well as the companies, the other organizations that the company we're doing training works with. We're also improving endpoint security. Our district has a service right now where they can respond 24/7 to very high-level threats that occur. That means Russ gets a phone call literally in the middle of the night, and they've already started going down the road of solving the problem. The next step for that system is we're going to start looking at exposure management for the apps that we have installed on all of our devices. And we're also the member of a security organization, MSISAC, the Multi-State Information Sharing and Analysis Center. And this organization gives us a lot of great perks for cybersecurity, for government and education members. And the MSISAC group is part of the Center for Internet Security, who is also managed by the Department of Homeland Security. So we're in good company with that large group. Also, I'll take the opportunity to say that Barrington 220 continues to provide web filtering in accordance with the Children's Internet Protection Act. That's something we've been doing for well over 20 years in the district. As far as student information systems, I'm very, very pleased to introduce in person Tracy Harper, who's sitting in the back. She can wave again. She came to us at the beginning of this school year with frankly the most experience of any Infinite Campus person I've ever met in my life. She has worked with District 214, and then she worked before that with District 300, and she is now our Director of Student Information. And under her leadership, we're moving to enhance our user interface for Infinite Campus. They're about ready to do a major update to that user interface. We should be done around summer for that in the district. And then, of course, we're continuing to do professional development opportunities for staff, both formal and informal, online and in person.
As part of the health and well-being strategic priority, we know that social media awareness and understanding is one of our objectives that I'm excited to say we'll be entering baseline phase next year, and in anticipation of that, and for a number of other reasons, we've done a lot of work with digital citizenship along the way. Largely led by our teacher librarians in pre-K through 12. We have been, for the last 2 years, working on a curriculum upgrade to our library curriculum that will more heavily emphasize digital citizenship. Specifically, digital literacy, information literacy, and media literacy are the three components that make up digital citizenship among the library curriculum. In addition to updates to the curriculum, we're also looking at delivery models. So our middle school librarians have been working closely with content area teachers on the content area planning teams to better implement digital citizenship curriculum into our core content areas. So rather than being a standalone, isolated instructional practice, it will become part of the social studies curriculum, the science curriculum, the health and well-being curriculum. At the high school, a grassroots team has led a digital citizenship task force, led again by our teacher librarian at the high school, as well as social studies and English teachers. They have been working to better implement digital citizenship curriculum into the high school, and a lot of this will go into effect next year. One of the things we've been working through for the first time in this district, we hope to implement a district-wide assessment process in digital citizenship that would be given at elementary, middle school, and high school, so we can start to collect data on our students' abilities in those areas. In addition, our blended learning program is entering its 8th year of full implementation in the district. We have had numbers that have made it more popular than ever. This last year, we trained an additional 27 teachers in blended learning strategies, bringing our total in the district to over 105 teachers that have completed blended learning training. Currently at the high school, we offer 160 sections of classes that may be using blended strategies. We had another 43 teachers who have already gone through the blended training, go to additional training to increase their knowledge. It is estimated that right now over 2,300 students at the high school are experiencing blended learning in some format at some point during their day. we've gotten to a point where blended learning has crossed over from being a standalone parallel program to being part of business as usual in Barrington 220. So we sort of entered a three-tier structure that we offer blended and flexible learning. Keeping in mind that blended learning is designed to increase the student ownership of the learning process, increase the authenticity and the personalization of learning for all of our students. So we offer blended as an instructional strategy. So any teacher that has completed the blended learning training can offer blended learning strategies within their classes. We also offer it as a course design. So there are some courses that just lend themselves well to blended instructional strategies. So entire courses have been built on the principles of blended learning so that students get that truly immersive experience. And then finally, just this last year, we've also begun blended learning as a program design. So thinking of outside the traditional confines of the school day, what can we do to allow students to be more equal partners in the learning process? The flexible learning program GEM at the high school is a great example of that, where not only are students taking more ownership of the learning process in terms of the time, pace, and path of the learning, they're also becoming co-designers of learning experience with teachers as part of that process. And then finally, we have been very aggressive in looking at artificial intelligence and its impact on the world. Barrington 220 supports the safe and responsible use of artificial intelligence for students and staff to improve teaching and learning in our district. We have done a lot to take a look at what these things are. Number one, we've been starting with a lot of staff professional development. Even before the release of ChatGPT in November of 2022, we have been doing artificial intelligence, machine learning, professional development with our staff. We've done a number of presentations introducing staff to the concept of generative AI. We've done presentations both locally and in the region on advanced prompt writing and the act of going through and creating artificial intelligence guidelines for students and staff. We have, as we've mentioned before, we are piloting, actually just completed the pilots for 2 artificial intelligence programs with our elementary students. With the support of the Ed Foundation, Amira is a reading support for grades kindergarten through 2nd grade, and Writable is a writing support for grades 3 through 5. Those pilots have just completed, and we're in the data analysis process to decide how we're going to move forward with those. In addition, we have put together an artificial intelligence task force, a group of 22 very talented staff members from all areas of classified, certified, and administrative staff have been meeting throughout the course of this year with the hopes of, number one, creating guidelines for staff on how to responsibly use AI in their workflow, helping create a set of supports to teach the responsible use of AI to our students as well, how to handle it when students potentially misuse AI. And at the same time, we're looking to create opportunities within our existing curriculum or new opportunities for AI literacy to become part of what we teach here in Barrington. It's becoming increasingly evident that artificial intelligence is a part of the workforce that our students are going to be entering, and so we feel the responsibility to teach them how to use that effectively and responsibly.
So this concludes our official presentation. We are very interested in questions and discussion, and remember we have lots of experts behind us in the audience as well from the classroom and also some other directors.
I can start with an AI question. So I love the idea that you guys are teaching kids how to use it responsibly. I'm curious, just as a parent, I feel really blinded by it. So is there an evolution of it where maybe it becomes part of Parent University on how to help coach that at home with our kids? Because that feels like a beast that's really hard to get control of.
Yeah, so the process we're going through is, the first thing we need to do, which I believe we're close to concluding, is how do we want to approach AI in Barrington 220? And we've been focusing primarily on teacher use because they're adults, and we don't want to we don't want to open it up to students too quickly before we know what platforms and programs are going to be safe for students to use, which ones are going to be legally compliant, which ones are going to be secure and protected from privacy. So we've been working a lot more with adults. Frankly, the way the industry is right now, there's far more adult-facing AI websites and platforms than there are student-facing AI websites and platforms. And one of the issues that these companies are dealing with is how to responsibly and safely protect that student information. So a lot of the work we've been doing on right now is figuring out what are the most effective ways to use artificial intelligence in the district. The next phase would then be, okay, what does this mean for student use? And then students, teachers, and community members will all have to be part of the communication campaign on what does this look like in Barrington and how it is.
That's great. Thank you.
This was a great presentation. Thank you so much for your, I know there's so many tendrils going on in terms of work with tech, so thank you for this. It's super comprehensive. I have a few questions, but I'll start with AI as well. I love that we're being realistic about artificial intelligence and that we're not just looking at it as punitive and how do we catch students using ChatGPT. I think it is very realistic to say, well, there's, it could be a force for good, even though we know so little, and it could, there are dangers. So I think being realistic about that is going to be really productive. And like you said, Ty, in the future, I think it's very much going to be a part of our students' ecosystem as they move into career. I'm wondering when it comes to things like deep fakes and things that can be produced by AI and machine learning that are very, very convincing. I think we started out with AI producing imagery of people with 6 fingers, and obviously that's AI, but AI is getting smarter. So what's the thinking in terms of education for our students and teachers around? I'm just thinking of, what if they're making, a research project that incorporates video and imagery. How do you not get taken in? There's so much misinformation and disinformation around AI. How are we training our students and teachers to spot it and use legitimate sourcing and say, hey, this is AI and this is real, this is not, this is generative? Because I often can't spot it, right? So what are we doing along those lines?
I'd like to just start by acknowledging one of the things that we learn when we go out of the district and we do presentations, say at regional conferences, we get to hear the questions and the reactions of people in the room from other districts. And you are correct, many districts are taking the road of just trying to ban everything. And of course that's impossible because every day it gets more and more pervasive. And that's one of the reasons why we're taking the approach that we're taking. So thank you for pointing that out. I'm going to let Ty answer the hard question.
So a lot of that has to do with the first thing that I spoke about is that digital citizenship. So we have a number of things already in place in the district in terms of student plagiarism or misbehavior. We have board policies about ethical behaviors and those things. One of the things the task force is looking at is how do those documents and how might board policy need to be updated to include AI as one of the features. So when a new technology comes along, there's always the gloom and doom on one end, this is the end of the world, and the other side is this is going to solve all our problems. And frankly, no technology is either of those things. And we have to look at AI at the same time, the same way. Many of the same concerns about educational practices and cheating and unethical behavior when the internet first launched and when Google first came out. When the graphing calculator came out, we've even found research on how the spiral notebook was going to end education. And so looking at it with that middle path sort of response is that it's about relationships with kids, it's about teaching responsible behavior, and it's about making sure that teaching and learning is happening for the right reasons, so that when kids are doing a research project, they are responsibly using it as a thought partner or as a feedback producer and those types of things, and they're not using it unethically to replace knowledge and skills that they haven't learned yet. That's one of the biggest concerns, is that when a student is using AI to misidentify things that they don't know how to do as things they do know how to do, that's where we need to start really helping kids understand the dangers of that path. So the short answer is the education, the digital.
Right, yeah, I'm just concerned that students will be tricked by it. Like they'll use it thinking that it's real when it's not, right? So I know that that's all part of the education
them
piece.
understand like how can it be used responsibly and how do you cite it? How do you disclose how you have used it in those responsible uses?
Another question I had was, how are we following up with our own students in terms of, and especially with regard to one-to-world, and maybe how it may help or hinder as they move on to college or vocational career paths and pursuits like post BHS? Like, are we following up saying, like you've had, 8 years of using an iPad, how does that translate into college? Has it made it easier, or do you go into a world where, most of you and your classmates are expected to use laptops, and maybe you've typed research papers with your thumbs on the iPad and don't know how to type, with all 10 digits. I'm wondering how, and are those hindrances? Like, how are we following up to make sure that that transition from our years of one-to-world and iPad dependence here is actually benefiting our students in the best way when they move on from BHS?
Sure, it's a great question. We still have relationships with a lot of our students we hear informally. We've never done a formal study on this topic though, and that is something I've always wanted to do. I think that is a great topic to think about moving forward. And I know that we've also talked about not just having that topic, but some other topics we want to follow up with students on after graduation. That I think that would be a perfect one to incorporate into a larger study as we move forward.
So to be determined.
Indeed. Except for the relationships we have with students informally, and we talk to them. But that doesn't count for a research study.
And I will add, we have done a number of focus groups with junior and senior high-level essay producing classes. Mitch Peck is actually one of the teachers of one of those classes, and we did a focus group with a couple of his classes last year, talking to juniors and seniors who have been in the One-to-World program for a number of years, and what their experiences are like. And the responses are interesting, and part of a number of our research studies in terms of how they prefer to input textual information into a device. So there's the thing that we've taken away from that is there's a lot of different ways to do it, and kids, depending on who you ask, prefer all different ways.
Thank you.
So I want to echo what two people have said already. I think that we have a lot of nervous parents and community members. So I want to kind of stay ahead of that. And, certainly when you have something to share, whether it's, New Student Week or a community blast, just as much education as possible, because it is such an unknown. And I agree with you. When the World Wide Web started, everyone was like, oh my God, the world's going to come to an end. So, I'm sure AI has a place in education, but I think parents are uncomfortable. And when their kids know more than they do, then they're really, feeling threatened. And as we all know, AI is not a replacement for education in person. So I just want to be careful that we have, the guardrails, with respect to ethics and privacy and human interaction. We still have teachers that want to interact with their kids. So that's not really a question as much as a statement. But questions I have. One is with the, are we anticipating updating the iPad leases again next year? Or is there research that you're going to be doing to make that decision?
Thanks for asking. That was one of my thoughts I was going to leave you with. So we in our district have a couple of primary leases that we work with. We have a 3-year iPad lease, and we have a 4-year MacBook Air lease for our staff. Next year is a red letter year in that it's the first year they both converge, right, and we need to do the leases at the same time. So we'll be coming to the board next year with a recommendation for refreshing iPads and refreshing the staff laptops as well. We will be looking back at our research, we just did that study about 2.5 years ago. Well, of course, we always look at that. We always look at what else is out there. There will definitely be a new iPad model out there, but we'll also look at all other options that are out there as well. That will be part of our recommendation.
I remember 3 years ago you went out and went to different schools and did all the, are you planning on that again, or not quite to that extent?
Yeah, we didn't plan on doing another full formal device study, but if the board's interested in that, we're happy to take another look at either the full study or whatever parts you'd like us to re-examine.
By when would you need to know that?
Immediately, please.
Yeah.
It took us a year to do that study. So
yeah,
it would be
right.
Great if we could. We have about a year between now and the next refresh.
And then my other question, I had kind of broached. I sent you both an email, and I just wanted to follow up. I don't know if this is technology or not, but cell phone policy. I wanted to just kind of get that out in the open. You know, research has shown that our students learn much better when they're not distracted with cell phones. And maybe this question is for Mr. Beck. My understanding is the policy at the school is they don't want the kids to have cell phones, but they leave it up to the teachers. So I'm wondering, are the teachers allowing cell phones in the classrooms, or are they really being pretty strict about leave your cell phones in your lockers, or, you know, save them for passing periods and not having them on during class time? I just wondering what the practice is. Policy is one thing. What is the practice at the school?
Yeah, so to clarify, the written expectations within the handbook for middle schools are that cell phones stay within the lockers. They're not allowed to be within the classrooms. At the high school, the expectations are that cell phone is put away and powered off unless explicitly directed by the teacher to use for educational purposes. So those are in place. What you're asking about, though, is practice and implementation. And I would say that for the most part, from what I'm hearing, that's a bit mixed. That if some teachers do allow them for educational uses, and kids have different expectations with different teachers, that would be something that I would say we need to look at building leadership to see what their input is on that. Or maybe Mitch does have a response to that.
I'd be happy to hear from Mitch on this topic.
Yeah.
What I would say is what I'm seeing in my AP research class is students have the ability to bring the cell phone there, and they often will use it with the teacher. So if they're discussing with me, they want to rehearse their individual presentation, in preparation for the AP research exam, which is essentially a time presentation. They often will use the iPad as a device to project their data and their slide deck, but then they will use that phone to record. So they're when I see the phone, it's usually something that they are comfortable using in front of me, which means it's being put to good use. And the other times that they can do it sometimes is if there are certain battery issues that they didn't charge their iPad the night before. Sometimes that has been a fill-in or a standalone. And I think individual teachers have different approaches, especially in a building as large as the high school. And I do believe there are some that are more strict. In my personal experience and in my classroom, that hasn't been necessary, just because I think the students perhaps are just that good at hiding any kind of social use from me. But when we're using them in class, and it's just one more device that's available for them to use. And there's certain applications we know that are better on a laptop than they are on an iPad, and sometimes they're better on the phone than they are on an iPad. So, I think that's been part of our philosophy, is trying to allow those older students some of that flexibility, and they have adjusted. When I first started teaching, T9 texting was still a thing. I remember having to hit the button multiple times.
Yeah.
And so I used to see W/O in essays, and I used to see the number 4 in essays. Probably about the time that Hannah was in school, but that was never her. But they adjusted. Students adjusted to that, and they realized that wasn't the coded language to use in an English essay. That was something used for texting, and I feel like that's kind of where we are now. Is that immediate rush of smartphones is now being tempered, and the students are making those decisions.
I will say too that Matt talked about a recent research that we just completed last year that's about to be published. It's not quite done yet, but one of the clear trends that we found from both student focus groups and staff focus groups is that cell phone distraction is an issue, and students are recognizing it as an issue, and both groups are saying that they'd like additional support in navigating that in the school environment, and we're prepared to expand the professional development and the student instruction in those areas.
Good, I applaud that.
And it always comes back to digital citizenship. That's what we.
Yeah.
Well, I will say, Barry, I agree. I've had many parents ask me about this too. Because at the middle school, I will say it's pretty well enforced. Like my daughter, unless she's just a rule follower, but maybe I wouldn't say she is. But the high school, kids are on they're on their phones all the time. So I have asked parents, why aren't we collecting phones? And as they walk in the classroom, have them drop them in a thing or put something on the back of the door. I understand from the educational using it as a video but I've had concerns, a lot of parents think kids are cheating on them. So, I mean, I agree with you. I think it's, we are teaching digital citizenship. There's no perfect answer to this, but it is perhaps something to keep thinking about.
Well, I know sometimes we use the word policy a little bit loosely. I just want to make sure that maybe you can give us an update on what's in our, maybe share with us the policy so we're all reminded, policy versus procedure.
Yeah, we do use those terms a lot, and I heard Ty try to clarify a few times
Yeah.
between what's
I said
in it.
expectations.
Yeah, expectations. You did. You absolutely did. So, not to confuse that, we do have policies for the district, but we also have student expectations in our handbooks that describes what Ty was talking about as far as that teacher piece, right? And it looks different. Where there's the flexibility and teacher discretion is really at the high school level. So our elementaries and middle schools don't have that same discretion built in, taking into account the age of the students as well. But this is a topic that, like other topics, I think we're doing some research, and we will provide some updates to the board and community as we arrive at some conclusions and some adjustments to maybe our practice, not necessarily a policy or an expectation.
And as I mentioned before, this is one of the objectives that emerged from the strategic planning process that's set to go in baseline data phase next year. So we'll certainly be putting more of a laser focus on this topic than we have in the past.
Excellent.
I did have one last question on social media, and I'm wondering, how are we integrating digital citizenship and the use of social media, in it being, potentially a force for bullying, like a TikTok challenge or something like that. With our Character Strong, our new SEL curriculum, what does that look like at different grade levels in terms of, how do we teach our students to to not be mean and not be so unkind? And I know that on a national level, there's some bipartisan legislation going on in an effort to keep kids safer online, that's ongoing. And I'm just wondering, from our school district, like, how are we addressing this?
Yeah, so that was a major focus of many of the upgrades that we've done in the library media curriculum in terms of that digital literacy portion. Not just the impact of cyberbullying, but your digital footprint, treating how you act online as if it's public information. And it's appropriately scaled all the way from kindergarten up through 12th grade in terms of how do you communicate online, what information is okay to put out there, what information should you not be putting out there, and then the impact of cyberbullying. I've actually, about 2 months ago, observed lessons at Station Middle School where the school resource officer, the librarian, and the health teacher were all together teaching different scenarios of cyberbullying, and how would you respond if you saw this? How would you respond if you saw this happen to a friend? How would you respond if you sent this? And so and that was integrated into the health curriculum for that particular lesson. So it is K through 12, and it's appropriately scaled throughout those to be age appropriate for what those kids are cognitively and emotionally able to handle in that sense. And it's something that we partner with other platforms on. For example, Common Sense Media is one that provides a number of resources. PBS provides a number of resources for that. So the curriculum is developed by our teacher librarians, but pulling resources from a number of credible sources as well.
Thank you. I'm glad to hear that. And also, shout out to your page. I know you have a lot of instructional videos for parents with regard to Schoology, things that are great for remote learning days. And I think some parents forget that they're on there. We learned that at a PTO President's Council meeting recently, and the PTO presidents were like, "Oh, Ty has all the videos on here." So I think as many, when we do have remote learning days, I think we're like, "Oh yeah, we got to make sure that we post those links so so thank you for keeping that page so robust and updated."
One of the things that I'm proud of is that we've improved our relationships with PTOs at each building, and so every year, sometimes twice a year, I'll visit the PTOs to get feedback on how things are going from parents who are witnessing kids growing up in a digital age and providing information there. And then we do a new family orientation for all families new to Barrington at the beginning of the year. And towards the end of the year, we do what's turned into a transition to middle school, which is a very crucial time for development and social media use. So we actually, next week, I'll be visiting Countryside to talk to 5th grade parents about transition to middle school and what some of the new challenges might be. Anytime we get an opportunity to go we record those, we cut them into modules and we make them available to everyone, because we know not everyone can make it to those. So we are building those resources.
Thank you.
Awesome.
I would also point out, because this comes up every year, that page also shows you how to put the restrictions on the iPads in your own home. Because
Yes.
parents forget that part.
We're getting the spring bake message soon.
Yeah.
Yes.
Before each break.
That's great. That's great. All right, any other questions? I'll just recognize you, Ty, for all the articles that were in the.
Yeah, seriously.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Amazing job.
Yeah, good job. Any other questions? All right, well, oh, wait, I did want to circle back. Is the board interested in getting more
Oh.
information about the research that we did, what was that, 2 years ago now?
2.5 years, yeah.
Maybe just a reminder, you want us a reminder, board, on what was done 2.5 years ago? And then let Craig know if you feel we need to go to those lengths again. I'm not sure I personally do, because we.
Yeah, I'm interested if you think we need to go that far.
I was going to offer a recommendation, if that's okay. Kind of step what I would recommend that we do is much of the information from 2.5 years ago is likely to be the same or similar, but it's possible that there are new devices that have come out in the educational field that we did not look at that time because they weren't available. And I would also say that it's possible that pricing structures have changed. So my recommendation would be, you can shoot me down if you don't think it's a good one, we look to see if there are any devices we might want to study in isolation as sort of a appendix to that study, and then update the pricing and cost situation as well.
Pricing has definitely changed, and I also think back to the grid, the grid of 49 different, what did we call that section?
Educational features.
Yeah, it was to look at all the different features we wanted to look at. Some of those have changed as well over this amount of time. So we could definitely look at that, and I could do a sort of a memo looking back at what our conclusions were then, and then maybe recommend some new information that has changed in 2.5 years.
Does that work for the board, I think?
Yeah, I like that.
That makes more sense.
Resharing
Starting over.
the former study,
Mhm.
right, with you at this time, so
Yep.
that everyone can take a look at that, and then looking at those particular aspects where maybe we recognize that some
Any
changes
relevant
have occurred.
updates that
Yeah.
would be needed.
Yep.
We can do that.
That makes sense.
Okay.
I know Thursday's only a couple days away, so if we get it next
Yeah.
week, that's fine too.
It will take
Right?
me longer until Thursday.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you very
You
much.
have just a couple things to leave you with.
Yes.
Okay.
Please do expect our Wonderful World research findings, some formal AI recommendations, and thanks for bringing up the lease within, obviously, that is a big thing that we look forward to, and that's gonna happen within the year. So thanks for this opportunity again to talk about this program, all the things we work with in the district. Thank you.
Excellent update.
Excellent.
Thank you.
All right, how about agenda items for March 19th? We have an action item on our Illinois High School Association membership. And we're gonna have our first community engagement update. After we've had several meetings and community sessions, and I can't remember if survey results or.
Is this one with Josh, or is this one with?
So, yep, so the next one is with Dr. Carpenter, and then Samantha will come up and provide an update, because at that point, we would have conducted all the different meetings. When we come back from spring break, the April 2nd meeting is when E.O. Sullivan will be
Okay,
here to
that's right.
actually share the data that's been collected.
All right, anything else? Wow, the 6:30
I
start.
mean, I'm loving it.
Is pretty nice right now. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? All right.
I want to stay longer.
We are adjourned.
Thank you.
We'll point out that we did say something.